see, this is where I've never spoken about this. This is where like my moral compass struggled, because you don't snitch.
When you think of Shoreditch, what do you think?
People pissing up people's doorsteps.
Interesting. That's my home. I was wondering if just the term Shoreditch alone would make you think about the scar you have.
Yeah.
No, you said pissing up doorsteps.
Yeah. No, it don't. Yeah, it don't. It's weird, man. There's like, I got hit by a car in 2013. Yeah, it was, I got squashed between two cars. I managed to get myself up on the bonnet, so it was only my left leg that got caught. The bloke didn't realise his car was in eco because it was a new car. So he'd had his foot on the brake, which put the car in eco. He took his foot off the brake as I was walking between two cars, and he felt the engine start. So he panicked and slammed his foot down, but instead of hitting the brake, he hit the accelerator.
Joking.
And that was a far more traumatic event for me than being stabbed, because that was really unpredictable. Nothing came before that I contributed to. When I got stabbed, look, I think I was 8 when Chesty, someone from my flats who he don't live in the country anymore, he got bottled and stabbed. And one of my pals, Jamal, who was younger than me, ran and, I might have been 9 because I think Jams was like 7, and he ran and called the ambulance for Chesty. Like, this stuff happened, you know? I didn't expect to get stabbed by someone I didn't know, that I had no history with. It didn't really feel like retribution for what had just happened. There was a little bit of bickering. He said I barged his mate. It was proper stupid, young, bravado, macho shit. Yeah, in Cargo. And I just stood my ground, really, was all I did. That was all I did wrong in that situation, if you even think that's me doing wrong. In hindsight, I could have just gone, I didn't barge his mate. I said, excuse me, and I moved past with an open hand in a crowded club. I was as polite and as passive as I could have been, and always have been.
When they're drunk.
But he was just on one, you get me? Yeah. So, but then I stood my ground. And in hindsight, like now at the age I am, and especially with, you know, having a child and just thinking about how I want him to grow up and what I want him to understand being a man to be, you know, I could have just gone, you know what, sorry bruv, I've been done with it. But I felt like he was threatening me, and I felt like I was right to stand my ground. I didn't expect that 5 minutes after that he'd walk up behind me and put a broken bottle in my neck. But at least my mum and my nan started talking again.
I heard you called your nan.
Yeah.
In that moment.
Yeah, so we were still fighting outside, so he stabbed me. I managed to push him out of the way, get out of the club, holding my neck together. Obviously, you've got all kinds of adrenaline running through your body at that point, so you're not really aware of I know I've been poked in the neck, and it's not really, if you're going to get poked, you don't want it to be in your neck.
No, fuck it.
Doesn't, you know, your chance of survival is not high. And then the fight got broken up. I think there was police outside the club. I think it was broken up by a police. The whole thing is a bit blurry to me. And then I'm sat on because I ended up getting arrested as well. But I'm sat on the curb, my phone's come out of my pocket, and I can see on everyone's faces, you know, this ain't going well for me. So I asked to pass my phone, I got my phone, I called my nan, and I just apologized for all the work she had put into me, that this was how it was going to end. She just said, you're going to be fine, shut up. I think she did actually tell me to shut up. And she's Cockney. And she just said, you're going to be fine, you're going to be fine. And she came to the hospital, as did my mum, and they both started talking over my table that I was on. And it's kind of weird, because when I went to hospital, I was treated like I was some kind of notorious gang member. The hospital staff were not sympathetic to my situation whatsoever.
Really?
Bearing in mind I've been stabbed. I'd never say I'm a victim, because I don't believe in approaching life as one. But in that situation, I wasn't the what's the word, perpetrator. I wasn't the aggressor. So it was a bit weird, the whole thing, you know, to just be presumed that I was just part of something that came out of nowhere. It had nothing to do with no gang, nothing, no dealing, nothing, no historic problems from anywhere. It was just something that happened randomly. But no, that's not even what I associate Shoreditch with. As well as pissing up doorsteps, I think of New Balance trainers and beards.
Yeah. Do you know, when I listened to that story about what happened with that guy in the club, it brought me back to a time which I've never talked about before in my own life, where I was in New York in a club, and there was 2 tables in this nightclub, and I was on one of them with a couple of my friends, one of the guys that runs Matchroom Boxing, and there was this table of guys from Jersey next to us, and the guys on my table were talking to the girls on their table.
Oh dear.
And there became this altercation. So I know the bouncers in this club because I go there all the time. So I said to the owner and the bouncer, I was like, there's going to be a problem here if you don't move this table. And as I'm speaking to the manager, the guy from the table next to me picks up a 3-litre bottle of vodka and hits me on the head with it. I'm surrounded by, so I'm so good with these bouncers. Like, I've sent them Man United shirts, and I'm like, these people know me. I'm always in the club. I'm always on the same table, that kind of thing. The big bouncer must be fucking 7-foot massive black guy. They're my boys. We talk about United every time I come in there. Like, they're my boys. He reaches over the crowd of bouncers that I'm chatting to on my table, and he hits me with this bottle of vodka. And I go, see? Because I was telling them I was like, there's going to be, if you don't move these 2 tables, I go, see? And as I'm looking, blood, because I'm wearing this cap, blood just comes trickling down my face. But again, I did nothing to instigate this situation. And when I was reading about what happened to you and you ended up in hospital and it risked your life, I was thinking, what's the lesson here? How do you avoid these situations where...
Variables, and that's the thing. You walk into a room like that, and there are many variables. There's anything can happen. And for me, I was always someone that scanned the room. I always wanted to know. I don't like sitting with my back to doors. Never have. I still have sleep with one eye open. It's why I've always suffered with sleep problems, I think, and that's my own doing to an extent, because of some of the stuff that I used to do. And I was by no means like heavy into things. I just sold a bit of this and a bit of that because it enabled me to finance life while I worked towards what I wanted to do. If there was another commodity that I was aware of that I could have sold that wasn't illegal, I would have done it.
And that guy, he got 8 years, right?
Yeah, that was a whole mad situation though, because they moved the trial date to when I was on tour. So this was 2 years later that it went to court, right? I get a phone call on the Friday when I'm in Newcastle, and they tell me from a police officer, and they tell me when the trial date is. And I just said, you know what, I'm so far past that, I really don't care. Like, I'm not coming to court. And they said, well, we know where you are. We know what your next 2 tour dates are. They were Brighton and London, I think. And we'll issue a summons. We'll arrest you.
If you don't come to court?
Yeah. And I cried, bro. I was in a conundrum because, see, this is where I've never spoken about this. This is where, like, my moral compass struggled, because you don't snitch. They had 4 other witnesses. They had DNA. They had CCTV. The last thing they needed in court was me. But what did they get from me being there? They get press. And then I get told by my record label, my TV plugger, my radio plugger, that I'll basically be looked at as an advocate for knife crime if I don't show up at court. But that goes against everything that I stand for. In hindsight, it's crazy, because if I didn't grow up where I grew up, why would I care about that? I didn't do anything wrong in that situation, but I didn't want to be there. The whole thing, like, it still troubles me now, because it's like you can't have 1 foot in, 1 foot out. It's like, who are you and what do you stand for? Bro, I've been arrested before. I was looking at time when I was just before I signed to Mike Skinner's record label. And at that point, there were other people involved. If I was a snitch, I would have opened my mouth then. But I found myself in an impossible situation. I'm like, I nearly lost my life, and now I'm being told that I'm going to lose everything that I've worked for if I don't go to court when I got stabbed. But then it's gonna, and listen, I've not lost a friend over it. There are people I don't know that have made comments. Never when I've seen them. Yeah, everyone's all cool, bro. But it's weird, it's still, even to this day, it doesn't sit well with me. So for all the work that I have done and all the distance between me and certain things, that I still wrestle with, because I was leveraged. And it's kind of mad to think that, in that situation, they would have, and I mean, it was crazy. They wouldn't even say, even to just move the trial date for the trial to just happen during my first headline tour. So I would have missed 2 gigs as well, for which there was no insurance. And at that point, and you won't like to hear this, as good a business as you are, I was actually in 2 record deals, and it was costing me about 10p to earn £1. So it wasn't like I was, I wasn't in a situation where I could weather that storm. And these weren't times where that sort of publicity was good publicity. There were no rappers on the radio by like me, Tiny, Chip and Tinchy. It weren't, it wasn't a given that you could be a successful artist. We were really just opening them doors. So any negative attention was not just hurting me, but shutting doors for other people as well. But there we are. I had to go to court, and it's not, I never imagined testifying to be something that I would ever do. But in that situation, I kind of used to see that as a black and white thing, but I guess there's some shades of grey in between.
If someone stabs me in the neck, I'm at court 10 minutes early, bro. I'm tired, don't give a fuck.
And that's how I should feel, like it just. But then I also think about all the other shit that I've had with the police and all the stuff that I've, that friends have gone through. And look, if you bring it on yourself and you put yourself in a situation and you've got police who abide by the laws that they enforce, all well and good, that's what they believe, But there's a lot of police that don't. And I've had, further troubles. I got nicked in 2013 and was rebailed, lied to in part disclosure, lost over £1 million in endorsements because of one cop as being had a bee in his bonnet. And I was arrested for something I was never charged for, but that never made the papers. Everything else did. So I don't really, and listen, I'm not saying all police are like that. Police have a purpose, but when they start to act out personal grudges that you kind of question, and the police the police, right?
Yeah,
that's exactly the problem that we have. But I don't want to.
Don't want to be bitter.
Yeah.